touch greatness.
This is four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty, the Detroit Red Wings. Coming up on I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
Yeah. The mayor of C-Town, Ryan Hayes, and his big name guest.
Often imitated but never duplicated, I Only Touch Greatness podcast with Ryan Hayes.
I Only Touch Greatness podcast, Vancouver's best show.
Good. I don't know if you remember, but we had you on maybe 2 years ago, and you're
absolutely. And I look at that's why it was cool when Nick reached out to me. I was like, damn, yeah, hell. And you look at what you got, 550 some episodes. Like, you guys are just killing it.
Yeah, since then you were like episode like 20 or something back then.
That's awesome, bro. Everything else been good? Hey, you got my boy talking behind the bench.
Yeah,
you got my boy Heronic, so you're gonna love him.
Actually,
he's a great kid.
Oh, okay. I was very disappointed in that trade, but I hope he's going to be good.
Yeah, no, I mean, like that's something that it was one of those things too good to be true on our end that you over. But he's a guy that can be a top 2 guy there or whatever. Like he's a good guy. Like you're gonna like him because he's a good dude. He's one of my favorite kids that I've come across, even when he was young.
Okay. So we're basically what happened last time is your camera didn't work for me, and our interview, I didn't really get too much publicity because I didn't push it too hard without having the camera view. So I might run through some of the same questions. Obviously, you're going to get that one question you get every interview about the Colorado, but
it's the anniversary, right? This is like it's March 26th ish. So I mean, if St. Patty's Day comes around, and we got to talk about that because, no worries, bro. Whatever you want to talk about.
I actually have the E60 going on in the background here at my house watching it. So born in Burnaby. Other than Joe Sakic, you must be the most famous one.
Yeah, Joe Sakic, myself, and Brady Leovold, right out of Burnaby General. So,
so what was childhood like for you growing up then?
Well, unfortunately, I didn't grow up out west. I moved back out east to my grandparents with my mom when I was 6 months old. So town of Woodsley. Now, when they say the town I grew up in, so I was born in Burnaby. My hometown is Leamington, but the town till I was 5 years old when my mom got remarried, I lived in Woodsley, which is halfway. So just so everybody gets geography, the house that I grew up in, right in Leamington, give or take 10 minutes for the U.S. border, took me 40 minutes to get to Little Caesars Arena. So I grew up pretty much like Detroit's stepchild, right? Grew up and I remember watching the Red Wings in the 70s when they stunk, but they were the Dead Wings, but they were always my team. Lovable losers, I guess. So back then they got Stevie Y, and then they got Proby and Joey, and even though we still couldn't win, we could beat people up, so that was cool.
I love that picture you got in the background there.
Oh, so this is actually, it's a 6 foot tall. I thought it'd be a good backdrop. It's a 6 foot tall painting that I got. That's me when we won in '97, climbing the glass in the penalty box. And this guy right here is my neighbor. So he got it painted for me. So he was my neighbor when I lived back in a suburb in Detroit. So great memories. That's what it's all about.
So you were a goalie too when you first started playing hockey, right?
Well, that's why I can't skate. I started in net, and usually they say goalies are the best skaters. That's not always the truth, but that's my out to why I couldn't. But I started off in net and just found my way out. I was a catcher in baseball too, so I'd always like to be around the ball or the puck. So when I start, I guess when because growing up in Canada, things they're changed. So when you're growing up in like the late 70s, 80s, we could body check. So I mean, contact and stuff like that was right up my alley. So that's why I always loved hockey.
When did you know you were going to take it serious?
Oh, I was that kid that probably 10 years old. I was the one that always put, what do you want to be when you grow up? And hockey player, and everybody'd say, well, you can't, not everybody, that's stupid and stuff like this. And I was like, all right, you think it's stupid, I'll show you.
Because
I'm more about proving people wrong.
Yeah, and you was really good at baseball, you were telling us last time.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was my first love, but I realized when I was about 15 that even though I could hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball, I couldn't hit a curveball, and I was better at punching people in the face. So I think I made the right choice.
Yeah, I think so too. You spent your OHL career with the Belleville Bulls. What do you remember about that? What's maybe one of your favorite memories of the O's?
That was awesome. So I had the great fortune of playing my junior career with Brent Gretzky, Wayne Gretzky's youngest brother, and I mean, if you watch him play, and he was a big point producer, and he was a great player, is you see the similarities in the way they skated. And, so I was fortunate that my last year junior, I always make the joke that, hey, Kirk Maltby, fellow grind line member, he had 50 goals his last year junior. I had 55, and I won Player of the Year, and was second in CHL Player of the Year next to Corey Hirsch. So not bad for a guy that wasn't drafted until the second round when he was 19. And I love Belleville. Larry Mavety, God rest his soul, was a huge influence in the style that I play, and old school mentality guys. So guys like Jake Grimes, our goalie Greg Dreveny, who's involved with the University of Alabama now, and Jake Grimes is a coach in Belleville still with the Ottawa Senators farm team. So just great dudes that I was able to play with, and great time in Belleville.
Yeah, you said Brett Gretzky there. He also went on to be a Danbury Trasher.
Absolutely, yeah. That's the whole thing. Was
with AJ?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the cool. The way that everything's connected. You think everything's so far apart, but it's not. So yeah, he was the big name draw. And dude, we still every few years we'll play NHL alumni together and get out there, and mine's just 35 years ago when we were playing junior.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, we had AJ on the show, and that movie was awesome. Did you, back in the OHL days, did you ever go and watch all the tall ships as a kid on the July long weekend? There was concerts and fireworks.
Yeah, the festival, the Quiddy Fest and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've been to it a few times. Yeah. Yeah, there was a great place in the summertime with the locks and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I got a friend from Belleville that wanted me to ask you if you saw the ships and what your favorite concert was.
No, you have to do, I think one time. You got to make it. It's one of those things that if you have an opportunity, not too many times, so you got to make sure you see it. I think we made it a point to see it once.
The 46 overall in the 92 draft, did you know Detroit wanted you?
Yeah, but I thought that I remember sitting there, and it was either Detroit in the first round or Ottawa first pick in the second round. And so when Detroit took Curtis Bowen, I thought I was going to Ottawa. And then when they passed, I was hoping. I interviewed really good there in Detroit. That's where I wanted to go. Obviously, I think, you're like, you want to get drafted, but it worked out for the best. Be able to play at home. I always say I'm like Detroit's favorite stepson.
Yeah, that's for sure. Could you tell the story about the number 25?
Yeah, actually, people always ask me because I couldn't. I wore 19 in junior, 19 in the minors, and I got to the Red Wings. I couldn't figure why 19 Steve Eisman wouldn't give me the jersey. I mean, I thought that was. Anyway, so it came down to I had the second choice because a guy named Micah Avazov, who I played in the minors with, had more minor league games. And there was four choices, numbers 14, 18, 25, and 27. Micah Avazov, who's from Powell River, BC, by the way. Actually, I've been up there salmon fishing. Caught a huge honker of a salmon up there one time.
Oh, really?
He chose 27. So I don't like even numbers. So 25 is where it is. If I had first choice, I would have been 27.
Is there a reason why you don't like? Is there a reason why you don't like even numbers?
No, it's more like an OCD thing.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Just stepping on the cracks, more superstition. I'm an odd, I got odd. I got 11, my sobriety date, 25. Odd numbers tattooed all over me, no even ones.
I got a bunch of weird tattoos too.
Yeah, so I think it's more just.
Do you have one that you regret?
Numbers in my life. Like one's a huge number, right?
Yeah.
1 and 25 and together. So I don't know. OCD, that's what I'd say.
Do you have a tattoo that you regret?
No. Absolutely not. First one I got in Chicago back in 94 with Proby. That's Harley Davidson with the Aries sign. It's on my ankle. That would sort of be like, and I don't regret it. To whatever else. One arm I have is like with my grandfather, my dad, my bass player, my band. That's like the remembrance. You don't want to be on the left arm. That means we're remembering you. And the right one is like my Griffin, who's my son, all my kids, Emerson, Avery, Grayson. Yeah, so that one's more the full, but they all mean something, and that's the great thing about tattoos. They're not only like addicting, but you get the right one. They means something to everybody, or means something to you. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I got one that I absolutely hate. The guy fell asleep. He G-holed while he was tattooing my stomach, and now the pen went like this.
Yeah, don't tell me what, tell me who. That sucks.
Yeah. How awesome is a friend of the show, Draper? We had him on. I've met him in person.
Oh, you had him on? He wasn't too busy. He was.
No, I had him on. We also had Keenan on, and we also.
Good.
And then I also met him when he was out here doing a couple of things. I know we came to watch Keenan play in Coquitlam.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's what can I say? Not a great family. Yeah, I mean, he's one of my best friends in life. Not only the stuff that we accomplished, the thing that takes so much pride in is, something called the grind line, which everybody in hockey knows what that is. And that associates him and I. And also, the uniqueness is there's 4 members of the grind line. It's like the Beatles, it's like with Joey and Maltz, and just the way that Scotty used it and successful we were. But I can't say enough great things about Chris Draper, not only the person, but the best part that people should know about Chris Draper and this Red Wing organization is he's doing everything that he wants to do, and scouting young guys and trying to find the next guys, and all this stuff. And behind the scenes, you look at all the guys in the organization that are doing this stuff. It's all the guys that that have rings. So it's just not when, it's when. But there's some of this is all the things that you used to see them when they'd be in the gym or sitting talking, Stevie and Drapes and stuff like this. These are probably things they talked about 20 years ago, right? And so as far as he's one of the smartest hockey minds that I know, he's one of the hardest working guys I know. Chris Draper's one of those guys that if he doesn't work out, he'll get sick, where Darren McCarty is one of those guys, if he does work out, he'll get sick. So I always tell him retired means I don't want to do it anymore. Right. We always kid that he's still looking for the contract. I think we got him off the fact that he understands he's retired now. Right. Yeah, I think, with the hip, but the one thing is, man, he's a big pickleball guy. So I always say
I was going to ask you about that.
50 in the world right there, Chris Draper. So, no, I mean, with everything that we've been through on the ice, off the ice, all my trials and tribulations and stuff. It's, where I'm at in my life, it's really cool to see the guys that stood behind me, that, I can make them proud.
That's good. And obviously your first Stanley Cup, you scored the game-winning goal. What went through your head right after that? Like, what kind of a moment is that?
Well, if you watch the replay, right, I beat one guy one-on-one my whole career. It's all timing. And the fact when I scored double pirouette, I come out of the corner, and who do I see? The eyes the size of dinner saucers, Steve Yzerman, the guy I've been watching since 1983, since I was 11 years old. And he's standing there looking at me going, what the F was that? And me, never lost for words, goes, like this. And he says, which is why Stevie's always right. He looks at me and he goes, thank God you don't have to do it again. Thank God he was right. And thank God Eric Lindros scored with like 11 seconds left, because not only did that make my goal the clinching goal, but it also gave me my Joe Louis Arena and one of the greatest memories of my life, because faceoff was outside our zone. Yzerman, Shanahan, Lidstrom, Konstantinov, and Darren McCarty, the kid from Leamington, Ontario, is on the ice for that final buzzer. And like I said, it was when the buzzer sounded, the fans came on their feet, the guys rushed the goalie, streamers out of the ceiling. It was so loud from blue line to blue line. It was silent, and I'll never forget that.
Holy. And you did score, I think this stat's correct. I didn't write it down. You did score the last goal in the Joe Louis, right?
I don't think I
don't think that
maybe
was
not.
There's a reason I didn't write that stat down. But
Joe Louis was gone after me. I believe it was Riley Sheehan.
Okay, I have had him on the show, so That might have been him that told that
that's it. I
story.
think he scored 2 goals that game. I believe it was him. Don't quote me on that. That's just D-Mac, you know.
Yeah, it was probably him that told me that story. I thought it might have been you. Okay, well, next question I had is Fight Night at the Joe. Well, it's playing in the background as well on my screen.
As we're getting close to the 26-year anniversary, March 1997.
Yeah, can you tell us about that? Let's get into that. And you guys are, as I'm seeing in the show, you guys squash the beef now, you and Claude?
Well, I think that the clarity to different sides. What I will say to this day is that if you're on the ice with Claude Lemieux and you turn your back, you're an idiot. But off the ice, Darren McCarty will turn his back. You know, like, and where things that come, because, you know, the whole thing about March 26th and the whole thing back to Claude Lemieux hitting Chris Draper from behind a year earlier in the last game 6 of the conference finals. There's so much to the added to it. And I'll take it back from the beginning narrative of my story. When I came to the Wings 93-94, we won the President Trophy, lost to San Jose first round. Go back the next year's the half the season with the lockout year, supposed to pump Jersey in the finals, and we get absolutely trashed, embarrassed. Then we come back, set the league record, 62 wins, and then lose in the 6 games to Colorado, who turned out to be, you know, one of their greatest rivals from 96 to 02. But in game 6, Claude Lemieux, the biggest villain in the friggin' NHL, like the most hated guy out of anybody. And like, to everybody hated him, cheap shot artist, dirty, all this different stuff. Hit Chris Draper, my centerman, the guy we're talking about, from behind, broke his jaw in 4 spots, crushed his orbital bone, did it right in front of me, actually. And the whole thing I tell everybody in life and sports, bad things happen. You can't lose respect for a fellow human being. That's not how I was raised in this game. There's, you know, I'm the first one to stand there and gladiator mentality, but there has to be some sort of respect. And when you throw that away and you don't apologize, that's an issue. Because Claude Lemieux didn't apologize. That's the big thing. And he even said, like, Chris Draper never, you know, you wouldn't have heard of him if I didn't do that, and blah, blah, blah. Well, man, in real life, I don't know, man. Like, the different actions to be taken. So the whole thing, the clarity is, you got to remember, and I prefaced it with the losing because we played them 3 times in the 96-97 season before the March 26th game when we lost. So the rivalry factor, the only way out's through, right? You have some of the greatest rivalries with Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton and all those years and stuff like this. You know that it comes down to, usually you got to beat one of those teams, right? And the same with them. Either got to go battle Alberta or come west to beat Vancouver. I mean, it's just the way it is. So the fact that the gravitas of the revenge, but the first thing is we had to win the game. You hear us all talk about it, and the beauty is nothing was ever said except when I got Chris Draper out of the hospital 2 days after in May of 96 when he got his jaw broke. You know, I said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. That's all that was ever said, you know, from any of us. So the fact that, you know, the game didn't start out. I think Kaminsky scored early. We were down, but just the way I call it, karma is real. You got to keep your intentions pure. You can call it God's shot, call it whatever you want, but you know, it was that monster, all 5'5", 150-pound Igor Larionov that started it all, right? But it's not the fastest, the strongest, might be the wisest, the eldest. I was on the ice. I was ready. I knew Lemieux was on the ice, but Foot was ready, and without Brendan Shanahan breaking me free and picking Patrick Waugh off, who probably got DNA on my shirt. I didn't even know it was there because I got away, and when I popped up, and the best thing about the Unrivaled documentary is the fact that you get both sides of the story. Everybody gets to tell their truth of what happened, and I cold cocked Claude. That's when you look him in the eyes, and I hit him as hard as I've ever hit anybody in the human history because I had every Red Wing fan ever in that fist that wanted to blast him, right? And I got him turtle, you know, said he didn't turtle. He said that the man himself said that's the hardest he's ever been hit. He said he didn't. He said he was knocked out. And I was like, thank God, I can't hit you any harder. But I wasn't done because I didn't get him good enough. Then I smashed his face on the boards. Then I need him, and you're not supposed to do that. You can't.
I know. I remember the knee, yeah.
But I was raised by first blood John Rambo. he drew first blood, right? Yeah. So he, I was taught, learn the game. It's not about right or wrong. It's about learn the game and play it better. So he in wrestling, we call that no holds barred, right? Yeah. That was sort of the death match. And the fact that the kicker is I got 4 minutes for roughing. And if you watch, the beauty is if you watched Unrivaled, you watch the replay, because they have the best version of I hit him with the greatest knee, right? It was so dirty and so hit him so hard, right? But right when he did, the referee, Dvorsky, turned his head. So he didn't see it. So he plausible deniability. And because they hated Lemieux so much, I got 4 minutes, right? And then I stayed in the game and scored the overtime winner, which is the God shot, and which is the one thing that I say, the first time that I ever felt it's going to be all right. Don't know what it means, but it's going to be all right. That cloud over the Red Wings was lifted, right? And I say that because I've only felt that twice, and the second time was when Steve Eisman was introduced as GM and vice president. So it's just not when now, it's when we'll get back there. But at that moment, all the questions were answered. We were team tough enough. We had gotten to a different level. We, this brought us together because, that's the greatest game in hockey history. Like, if you're going to take the Desert Island, you got 11 goals, you got 8 fights, you got goalies, you got everything in there, overtime, the intensity. You could cut it with a knife. And so the expectations of what were supposed to happen that night and everything else blew it out of the water. Like I always say is that I don't care if you're Quentin Tarantino, Steven Spielberg, Francis Scorsese, you can't write a better script. Now, I'm a little biased because I was a star, but that's the big guys. Pick it up with him.
You were saying wrestling there. You're talking wrestling. Last time when we had you on, you had just interviewed Eric Young. And I ended up getting Eric Young a couple months after that. So another wrestling guy in common.
Absolutely. EY is great. And we grew up, we grew up within an hour from each other. He's from Chatham area. So, it's cool to see it's cool to see guys, and no matter what age, come out of your area and do good and whatever it is. But I'm still a huge wrestling guy.
Who's your favorite?
What's that?
Who's your favorite wrestler of all time?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Okay. You got a favorite moment?
Mine are different because I'm a huge deathmatch guy. So I got to experience, like last weekend in Tennessee in the deathmatch circle, the OGs in the American deathmatch are the Bloodbath Behemoth Tank and Matt Tremont, the Bulldozer. Like, these guys have fought all over the world for the past, 20, 25 years, Japan, all these big matches, and they fought each other. And if you're like me, I love entrances. And so Matt Tremont comes out 2 separate ways, and it's a movement. And then Tank comes out with the Reverend Dan Wilson. It's like a Slayer concert, and he does the introduction, and it's like so hardcore and it's intense. So I love moments. People ask me, well, do you like this or do you like that? And I like everything, and I'll turn anything on or anything off, or walk in or walk out, depending if I'm entertained. Storyline I'm a storyline guy, so as long as it makes sense, I don't have to like it.
Yeah, we've gone on to interview a lot of wrestling guys. Eric Bischoff. We've had like the Godfather, Savio Vega.
I was just with the Godfather last week at one of the Comic-Cons. So that's awesome.
I think that might even have been where I thought of coming back and doing it again. You still doing the CBD? And you're loving it.
I got the Darren McCarty brand. Actually, the shirt I'm wearing here, I'll turn it around. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Oh, yeah.
That's the brand. We got the CBD, the in-state and stuff to get the CBD roll on. Doing a lot of stuff in conjunction with Primitive, which is Calvin Johnson's, the Hall of Fame NFL from the Lions. Still plugging along with that. As you know, obviously, when in Canada, it's all about, do you have the option, and then it's fine. And don't tell me what, tell me who's the grower, what do you need, what effect you want. So I'm just here to answer questions or fight, bro. That's it. I'm here to answer questions or fight. That's what I say. What do you mean by that? We can get you on your path to whatever it is, just to know you have an option. That's half the battle.
Have you ever smoked with Scott Parker?
Oh,
Beauty.
dude, the sheriff, of course.
Yeah.
He's my guy. I saw that you just interviewed or whatever like that. So they got Taboo Social Club, and the fact is they've really done a nice job in using the flower of the CBD and the CBN and the CBG, because it's about the effects and trying to get what are you looking to accomplish and how it is. And there's a great, just like the reason I say with my CBD roll on and stuff for pain management, why wouldn't you go to a guy who's had, mental issues or been a tough guy that uses, and that's the CBD. Like they focus strictly on the CBD, CBN, CBG. So that makes it e-commerce for everybody. So I encourage everybody to check out the Taboo Social Club for sure. Love Scott Parker. A little side note. So we have this hockey comic book through Mess Bucket Comics called Donnybrook, and my team, right? So there's the Michigan Massacre, which is the owner's team. Then there's the Hell's Kitchen Heathen, which is Brian O'Halloran, who played Dante in the movie Clerks. Roddy Piper's estate has one. The Ohio Thrill by voice actor Mike Travis, because he's from Ohio, so they're the roller coasters. I have the Burnaby Blazers, right? The pot smoking lumberjacks from Western Canada. Scott Parker, my captain's name is Charlie Manson, but it's based off of Scott Parker. All my guys are based off of former tough guys in the comic book. So it's a comic book. Why? Because lasts the test of time, and we put all the stories in, and each different comic has a story from a guy that played hockey. Doesn't matter. The beer leaguers got stories. There's a minor leaguers got stories. 4-time Stanley Cup, but it ties it all in. And we got a lot of different interest in different people starting the team. So there's 4 books out. Check out messbucketcomics.com, Donnybrook, but it's hilarious. But I got the Burnaby Blazers. We're green and white or green and black, and pot smoking lumberjacks, Western Canada. So
awesome. That's great. Do you have any Gino Ojek stories?
I don't, other than playing against them and what intense, and just how much of just team, knowing guys that played with them and just how much they loved them and shit like that. So
Do you have a favorite Stanley Cup?
No, man, you can't. Like the Stanley Cup are like kids. I guess which are you asking, D-Mac or are you asking Darren? I mean, D-Mac, it's like, come on, man, shake your head. I scored that clincher in 97, the kid from across the pond, bringing cup back 42 years. Are you kidding me? It's why it's a mic drop, no contest to see the greatest goal in Red Wing history was that one over Steve Yzerman's against St. Louis. Because why? At the end of mine, you got a trophy. Hey, we lost, so it didn't matter. But no, they're all like kids, right? They all have storylines. You look at the next year, the back-to-back, the Believe because of losing Vladdy, because coming together. That's what I think solidifies 25 years later is the culture here. Because the people went through it too. We all lost Vladdy, right? From not on the ice, but went through that healing process together, and we still do to this day, which, by the way, caveat, Vladimir Konstantinov does appearances a couple times a month, and if you ask Oliver, he's better than we've seen him in years, right? Okay. So it's good to see him happy. He can communicate stuff like this. You go to O2, it's like I said, it's great when you can shove it up people's asses, to have the Hall of Fame team, but to win the President's Trophy or whatever, but also win the Stanley Cup. And I don't take it from me, take it from Wayne Gretzky, the greatest player in the world, because he's quoted as asking, "Hey Wayne, what's it like to play for the greatest team ever?" And he says, "I don't know. I didn't play for the 2002 Detroit Red Wings." So that's a pretty good pop by the great one.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if we were gonna ask if it was okay to even ask how Vladdy's doing. But
I think I gave you the update, so I guess it is okay.
Perfect.
Good
how
for
was your
people that
time in
know. It's good for people that care.
How was your time looking back in Calgary?
Love it.
Loved it.
Calgary was like going back and playing junior again. I can't speak highly enough. Joe McGinley, Robin McGear, Rat Warner, Chris Simon, Mickey Kippersoft's one of my favorite human beings. Daryl Sutter, Ken King. They treated me so good there. Yeah, I felt loved from day one, not just by the city and by the team. We had so much fun. Like I said, it was especially the first year was a riot. So, I mean, that out of all the pills to swallow, that one when we lost 7 games after being up 3-2 against Anaheim, who went on to win the cup in that year in Calgary, that's the one that felt like got left behind.
If you were having a dream dinner party and you could invite 3 famous people, other famous people, dead or alive, who are you bringing?
That's a great question, man.
For me, I go with like Tupac. A Seth Rogen would be my comedian. I'd love to smoke joints with Seth Rogen. And then probably Paulina Gretzky for some eye candy.
That's not bad, bro. Tiger Woods would be on that list. I smoked pot with a lot of famous people. I haven't smoked pot with Seth Rogen yet. Seth, we got to get that on the list, brother.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to smoke. I'm friends with Tommy Chong and Snoop and all those guys, and they're all great. Tiger would be at dinner. Sean Whalen. Are you familiar with him? Lion's Not Sheep. Lion's Not Sheep. I encourage anybody, as far as motivation and as far as and especially as a man, this guy's got it. And Gary Vaynerchuk. You know who Gary Vaynerchuk is? Gary Vaynerchuk's a motivational guy too. So I guess it's tough because I'd say Tiger Woods, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and who did I just name? The first one I named there, not Gary, because Sean Whalen. Yeah.
Yeah. And one person you named there too that I had on the show, Tommy Chong, great guy.
Oh, phenomenal. Dude, Tommy Chong helped me quit. I haven't smoked cigarettes since January 2nd, 2017. And he gave me the secret. Yo, bro, I quit smoking cigarettes, man. It's just every time I wanted to just smoke a cigarette, I'd roll up another joint, man. And then the time it would just actually work out, man. And you don't need it. But you also know, too, that's where the CBD, the CBG, all those taboo social club, that if you don't want to get the THC effect, that these will help you. There's so many. If you want to look into it, and you have to figure it out your own way, but that could be an alternative to help too.
Yeah, that's just it too. And I smoke heavy all the time. Do you have a favorite road city?
Favorite road, probably Scottsdale, like just because Scotty loved it, and we'd always get in there early to golf, so you could always count on at least golfing once a year down there. LA was always good because we were always connected and did a lot of fun shit out there, especially once Chelly got into town. Vancouver's phenomenal. Can't wait to get out there and eat some fresh fish and stuff like that. That was always a go-to. Plus, you had the Roxy, which was always that's sort of like it always reminded me of like the bar in Star Wars, Tatooine. Like you'd have 3 teams, 2 that played, 1 that was coming out, but you get to see guys over the years, and that's how you'd see some buddies that you played junior with, or guys that you wouldn't see often, but you could. Vancouver is a good spot to always run into them.
Are you still doing your podcast?
Well, I'm doing Woodward Sports. Every woodwardsports.com. I do the 11 to 1 show every day. I started a hockey, it's called Chomp and Puck, every Saturday at 1. I release that. As far as the grind time with Darren McCarty is on hiatus. Okay. With once I get the bus up and running, with the product, which will come hopefully in the next few months, and I can be mobile, then I'm looking to fire that up again. and do what you guys are doing. I love what you guys are doing, looking at the roster, talking to different people, exploring it. And I think that's the way to do it. So I might be leaning on you for some contacts.
Yeah, that'd be fine. I'd love to help, and we could bang some off of you too. So
Absolutely.
You still do the band? You're still the lead singer of your
absolutely. Band is we're just filling out the festival schedule this summer, so we're planning on playing about 20 times or so. Along with got some new stuff to record, and so that's keeping me busy, traveling around doing the slapstick comedy tour, which is in full force right now. So and then the wrestling and all that stuff. So there's always something. Like a lot of times people ask me, it says, "Oh, when's your next thing?" And I go, "I don't know. I got something tomorrow. I don't know if it's wrestling or I find when I look or when somebody tells me." So keeping busy. Busy's good. Love getting out and about and seeing all the people and making the connections and stuff like that. So, there's it's a great thing is after I'm done talking to you is I'm heading downtown to the casino because Skid Row and Buck Cherry are in town.
Oh, so sweet.
Yeah, so we're gonna go check them out. So there's always something going on.
Who returns the call faster, Maltby or Barnaby?
I don't have Barney's phone number, but it's got to be Barnaby because Maltby does not return call. Maltz is the absolute worst of the worst. And if you're putting sounds like Barney's bad too.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Yeah, but
you'd have to ask. You'd have to ask somebody that would know.
Yeah, we had Barnaby on, and he's a great guy to have on. He's a funny guy.
Oh, dude, he's awesome.
Yeah, he was great. Can you tell us about that one ritual that you had, the rock, paper, scissors, where you had to go with, I think it was Sandy McCarthy.
Okay, so everybody's got their ritual and stuff like this, but you always have to put in clauses. This is for your OCD. There's got to be clauses, right? One of the clauses to being last one off the ice. Now, it's imperative that in the fine print of the superstition or the routine as it's normally known, right? It's as long as I'm last off for my team. But if somebody else has, and it's two guys like that, you want to show that you're gentlemen. I mean, if you're going to tussle during the game, it's going to happen in your two guys, but we want to show you that we're mature, that we can go to Rochambeau if we need to, rock, paper, scissors. And I love the fact that Grapes got it. Right at the time, John Cherry got it because it was on Hockey Night in Canada, and Sandy McCarthy and myself, who a lot of respect for, were the last ones. He was usually the last guy off the ice, so we stood and it was at Joel Osarena, and we looked at each other. We went Rochambeau, the head nod, boom, boom, boom. I lost, I exit. He gets, even though it's my home ice. Everything's covered there, the respect or whatever, and I think we won the game 6-1, so it doesn't matter.
What do you think of the league now and all these pussies?
Not my game.
Yeah.
Next question.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
I mean, dude, I'm grateful that I'm not playing because I wouldn't have been a hockey player.
Okay. Yeah, and next year, so you got the unprotected first that you got from Vancouver through Horvat trade, but.
Oh, we got go look at the draft. What Stevie does is he weaponizes that salary cap and draft capital. That's what I mean. We got 3 firsts, 2 seconds, 4 thirds, 7 fourths, 8, 9, 10, whatever. You just put in a good spot. But no, I don't think we have a shot at getting Bedard because whoever gets it's a generational player.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'd love to see him here in Vancouver.
And we always get screwed in the bingo balls, so we don't need your help. Fucking Gary Bettman League.
Yeah, Vancouver gets screwed too. We finished last, and we somehow got to pick 6th.
Why are you screwing Detroit, and Vancouver?
Yeah, right. Who's a better coach?
I think it's me. I think it's because I'm from there and I played here. It's got to be me.
Who treated you better, Bowman or Babcock?
Scotty. Well, Scotty said that I was his second favorite right winger I ever played for him. So. I'm a Scotty disciple. I didn't have a problem with Babcock, but I can understand that my analogy, because I played for them both, is that I would break it down that if they did the exact same thing, right, that Scotty Bowman, you were pretty sure that he liked to collect rings, and what he did, if you were the brunt of it, it's because he thought it would win games and bring championships. Mike Babcock was more of, if you don't do it his way, nobody wins. That's how I would break the different styles down.
Okay, I got like two more questions for you. Can you just talk about your favorite fight, like that you had, or the toughest fight that you had?
Well, no, kosher.
Okay.
Well, yeah, Proby, but Proby didn't get go. I'm smart enough that it stopped, but he hit Stevie, so I had to fight Proby. But Joey broke my helmet my rookie year. We hit our heads on the ice. He looks at me, says, "You all right, kid?" And I said, "Thanks for not killing me, Mr. Kosher." Which, if you don't kill me, I'll come back and haunt you, and we won cups together. My favorite was, you mentioned Barney earlier. I split Barney real good in Colorado one day in front of the net. So,
all right.
But the second Lemieux fight off the opening face-off, right after the next year, where I just chirped and I said everything that you're not supposed to say, and like every bad thing. Oh, did you say that? Yeah, I did. Did you? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I went there. Yeah, all that stuff, and then Drapes wins the draw, and I turned and he blasted me, and I remember thinking, okay, good, he's gonna fight. So that was a good one. That was probably my favorite.
Okay, and can you tell us a good locker room prank?
Oh, the assassin Chris Osgood, right? I mean, just the best one that he had is he would sew your keys in your pants pocket, right? Like, so your keys would be in your pocket and he'd sew them, right? So you got to remember, this isn't just like thread or whatever, and you can't get your hand in your pocket. You got to rip your pocket out, right? Or take your pants off and cut it. You know, that's all good, right? And he'd do it like once every few months to somebody or something like this and get them. It's all fun and games if it's like playoffs or it's summertime or you got your shorts on in the spring or something like this, you're ready to go golfing. Oh, hi, that's funny. You know what I mean? But how about when he gets you on one of those winter, and you guys don't understand this out there, is on the minus 20-degree days with the foot of snow outside in the parking lot. You're standing there in your suit pants, you're going commando, and you realize put your hand in your pocket and you can't get it in. The only way is you got to take your pants off and rip your pocket off your dress pants that are probably, you know, your wife's going to be mad at you or whatever. Yeah, you got Ozzy'd. So he was always good at that one.
Okay. Yeah, I heard an awesome one. The road stories. People love hearing the road stories and stuff like that, and locker room stories. That's what the Courtnall brothers were telling me about Gino and how they snuck a 10-pound weight into his suit bag, and they couldn't. And he was carrying around his suit bag. And probably
not even noticed it, or not even backlash.
Yeah, he didn't notice. He couldn't figure out why his suit was so heavy for the whole road trip.
Hey, boys being boys.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you would like to plug or promote right now?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just following, obviously, woodwardsports.com, check out, do a show 11 to 1 Eastern every day called Big D Energy, but you can catch clips online or anywhere you catch the podcast stuff. Darren McCarty 4 on Twitter if you're a Twitter guy. Official Darren McCarty and Real Darren McCarty, blue check marks and the other ones. And DarrenMcCarty.com for all your merchandise and questions and schedules and stuff like that. That's where I go to find out what I'm doing tomorrow.
Hey, this is a question I didn't have written down, but what do you think when people see you in public and ask for pictures and autographs?
Oh,
do you
love
like
it,
that?
dude. That's what I'm the mayor of Hockeytown, baby. But no matter where it is, that's why I do so many things, right? I have a say. I'm a battery, and the people are my power. That, you know, for me to realize that they've always been there behind me. So I know where I was. Now I want to, you know, it's the culture, and it's not only the culture of life and everything else that we got to live. It's the culture that, you know, if the hockey combines us or whatever else. Here, I'm fortunate, you know, to be loved as deeply as I am here, and I just want to give it back in all different ways that I do. So if you see me out and about, come on up, say hi.
Yeah, perfect. I got to send you a couple pictures for an autograph, I think.
Absolutely. We'll get you some for sure.
Yeah.